Dr. Norman Bethune was born in this house about 100 years ago. He was one of Canada's most famous doctors. Today, people come from all over the world to see Bethune Memorial House in Gravenhurst, Ontario. The story of Dr. Bethune has become an important part of Canada's history. He was brave. During wartime, he risked his life many times to save children, their families, and wounded soldiers. He was smart. He wrote medical books and invented surgery tools that doctors still use today. And Dr. Bethune was kind and caring. He believed that all people in the world should get good medical care, no matter what country they lived in or whether they were rich or poor. As a child, Norman Bethune dreamed of becoming a great surgeon. His journey to find that dream led him to many different lands, across mountains and oceans, deserts and plains. Dr. Bethune's story begins about 100 years ago in Gravenhurst, Ontario. He had an older sister, Janet, and a younger brother, Malcolm. Norman's father was a Presbyterian minister. The family moved from town to town, wherever the Reverend Bethune's church work led them. Norman loved to travel, and he saw life as an adventure. He believed that anyone could do anything they set their mind to. What Norman wanted most was to become a great surgeon like his grandfather, and someday he would. After high school, Norman worked as a lumberjack, and he taught school in Canada's northern woods. Then came World War I. He was one of the first Canadians to join the army. His job was to carry wounded soldiers on stretchers to get them to a safe place for medical care. But one day, he was wounded himself and was sent home to recover. In Toronto, he went back to university to become a doctor. He joined the Royal Navy until the war ended. Then, he went to England to study children's medicine at the London Children's Hospital. Next, he traveled to Edinburgh, Scotland, where he studied to become a surgeon. Here he met and married Frances Penny. Norman and Frances moved to Detroit, Michigan, where he taught and practiced medicine. Then Dr. Bethune got sick himself with a disease called tuberculosis, a sickness of the lungs. He went into hospital for 1 year. He asked for a new and risky operation to help him, and he was able to go back to being a doctor again. He moved to Montreal and spent the next few years finding new ways to cure tuberculosis. Although Dr. Bethune never had any children of his own, he loved young people. In Montreal, he began an art school for poor children. He took them to the art galleries, and he taught them how to paint. He was also a very good artist himself. Dr. Bethune opened a medical clinic for Montreal's poor families, and he saved many lives without asking for any payment in return. Dr. Bethune was one of the first Canadians to believe in socialized medicine, where everyone gets good medical care, whether they're rich or poor. He became world famous as a surgeon and inventor of medical instruments. He spoke to many doctors in different countries. He often surprised people with his bold, new ideas. Then, in 1936, came another war. This time in Spain. Dr. Bethune formed a Canadian medical team to help aid the wounded. He invented a special truck, like an ambulance. In the midst of gunfire and war, he took refrigerated blood to wounded soldiers. Dr. Bethune drove all over Spain, bringing this life-giving blood to people who were hurt. Dr. Bethune hated war. He saw how it destroyed lives and caused great suffering. He returned to Canada, where he helped raise money for the victims of the Spanish War, especially for children. But now another war was raging, this time in China. Once more, the doctor left his peaceful homeland to help people with greater needs than his own. In China, all of the knowledge that he had gained as a surgeon was needed. He operated day and night, in mud huts and in open fields, often under enemy fire. He walked among the war-torn villages, teaching young men and women how to become nurses and doctors. He helped build hospitals and wrote medical books for his young Chinese students. He taught his students how to save their own people. The story of Dr. Bethune soon spread throughout the Chinese villages. His name was shouted like a cheer by the Chinese soldiers. One day, while the guns were shooting all around him, Dr. Bethune was operating on a wounded soldier. He cut his finger, and the cut got infected. He developed a very serious case of blood poisoning. Dr. Bethune died on November 12th in 1939, about 50 years ago. Today in China, the people still remember him. A marble tomb was built in the mountains where he died. A museum and a hospital are named after him. Most everyone in China knows the story of Dr. Norman Bethune. In Gravenhurst, Ontario, the house where he was born has become an important part of Canada's history. The Bethune Memorial House welcomes thousands of visitors from all around the world each year. Dr. Norman Bethune was one of Canada's most famous doctors. He was brave, smart, and kind. During his lifetime of just 49 years, he helped save and heal people all over the world. He fought for good medical care for the poor, and he invented many surgical tools and medical procedures that still help doctors today. Though his life has ended, the results of his good work live on.